Don't you wish everything was more rewarding? With Rakuten, almost everything is. You can earn cash back on those new shoes you've been wanting. You can save on the next trip you book. You can cash in on groceries. Rakuten is a smart way to save money and feel rewarded when you shop. Rakuten partners with all of your favorite brands across so many categories: fashion, beauty, travel, concert tickets, electronics, restaurants, and more. Just join, shop your favorite brands, and save. Target, Instacart, Expedia, Macy's, Sephora, CVS. The list is long. Save online, in-store, and at over 22,000 restaurants. And when it's time to redeem those rewards, get your money exactly how you want it. Choose PayPal, check, Bilt points, or cash out with gift cards. So go ahead, take a trip, fill a cart, order dessert. Rakuten is a world of rewards. Join today for free. Go to Rakuten.com or get the app. That's Rakuten.
Hey, it's Bubba Wallace from 2311 Racing. You know what feels like forever? Sitting on a plane waiting for takeoff. Good thing I've got Chumba Casino. With daily boost and social casino games on tap, this is the kind of fun that makes time fly. Why not turbocharge your downtime? Play now at ChumbaCasino.com. Let's Chumba.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
He's an old head.
Youngins are really starting to get on my damn nerves.
He's a purveyor of nonsense. He's a Georgia high school coaching job influencer. His favorite Bible verse is Jesus wept. He's the man of constant sorrow, Chris Lamb.
Yeah.
Sun Coaches is proud to partner with Titan Sports for the next 4 seasons on Sun Coaches podcast. Titan GPS delivers technological superiority and improved player performance through wearable GPS made for high school football and strength and conditioning. From speed training to athlete recruit to workload enhancement, Titan is the easy-to-use yet comprehensive GPS tool to get it done. There's no minimum to get started, and Titan will walk you through every step to success. Message us on X at Titan Sensor to learn more and get in touch. Welcome to Sun Coaches Podcast, Season 4, and I got a treat for you today. Got an old head, been running around South Georgia for years, highly successful coach, another one of those great mechanics that had to take over some bad shops and has won everywhere he's been. Coach Charles Truitt, thanks for being on with me today.
Thank you so much for the offer. Thank you for the opportunity.
Well, Coach, tell everybody where you actually grew up.
Okay. Well, I grew up in a small town. Sometimes I have to tell them that I grew up in Dothan, Alabama, because when I tell them the reason the town I really grew up in is Cottonwood, Alabama. It's probably about 5 or 10 miles southeast of Dothan. A real small town.
Coach, I know exactly where that is. I coached at Early County in Blakely.
Uh-huh.
And so, as you know, if you want to go to a Walmart,
there you go,
or anywhere to eat, you got to go to Dothan. So I know exactly where Cottonwood is. Yes.
We're real small. We didn't have a street light. We had a caution light. But one thing about it, the people down there, we were small. My graduating class was the size of probably about 42, 43 kids. So everybody knew each other. Everybody got along with each other. So the only thing we had in that small town like that is to go to school and play sports. And I was fortunate enough at that school. You know, we had a real good athletic program. I mean, in football. Now, senior year in high school, we played for the state championship. Lost the football game 3-0, and it was a flood.
God.
It was a flood. It was 27 fumbles in that football game. We had 14, they had 13, and it was just a situation of we couldn't move the ball, they couldn't move the ball. It was played and played with the name. The school we played was Oak Grove, and it was around Birmingham, so we played up there, and it flooded. I mean, it flooded the entire time. So we was on a 26 game win streak at that particular time. So that was a hard pill to swallow to be able to lose your state championship game in a situation like that with that type of weather there. But it was a good game. We had a great season, and then our baseball program was very successful in the 80s. We probably won about five state championships in baseball. in AA during that time. So we were, like I said, the town was so small. The only thing we had to do was play sports, and that's what we did. From if it was basketball season, we had basketball. Of course, football season, we was out there playing football. The baseball, there was something going on. Even if we weren't out there on the field or being in a coach sport, we were doing out there on our own. So we were fortunate enough to have that type of success as far as I was. And I always was blessed. I guess that was one of the main reasons I think I want to get into coaching, because I always was fortunate enough to have some great coaches that I looked up to, that worked with us and gave us the skill we needed to be successful. And a lot of time it took away from their families, but they, we not only did they look after us, but they provide transportation for us and get us from point A to point B and whatever it needed to be done. But we had great parental support. Our parents were there and they respected the coaches, and everybody just sort of worked hand in hand. And I just tell them all the time, I tell my kids all the time, I said, if we happen to lose a game, I mean, the coaches didn't have to get on us. It was hard enough to go back home and walk in the neighborhood. For most of us in the neighborhood, and the guys before us knew what we supposed to have done and knew each play, and they would really got on us. So the coaches didn't have to get on us that much. It was just that neighborhood that people wanted to be successful, felt should be successful, and that expectation that was just came each and every day.
That makes a huge difference. And one thing I love about Alabama, and it's kind of still that way today, is every little town had a school, and they got sports.
Yeah.
And like you said, you only had 40 people in your graduating class, so it was a little school. But I mean, everybody and they rally around that. You have a true community school.
Oh yeah, definitely, and that's what it was. You can, you was in the system, and in middle school and JV, you were doing everything. And I think that's why I think successful. Our coach, we didn't have a turnover. I think since I was in middle school, I think we had the same coach there, baseball and football. So those people, we knew each other, they knew us, and it was just like that. It was just an opportunity to be successful, and everybody knew each other, and and that just sort of just went on down to. And I tell them all the time, I think that when you are expected to win and expect to be successful, it make you be motivated. There's a story when we was in high school. I think that was the last game we lost before the state championship. That was the second game of my junior season. We had a game and playing against a pretty good team, and we was winning. And the coach told us, I played defensive line at a particular time, that position. And we told it was a Hail Mary play, and he told the defensive back, coach told him to knock the ball down, don't try to interception. But how we are kids, and our coaches, the young man tried to make the interception, and he tipped the ball up, and the other kid caught it and scored a touchdown. So we all upset. I'll never forget, it was coming into Labor Day. We were Labor Day that Monday. So, we all upset at home, and we talking, we ready to work. We go watch the film. It ain't like it is now. Hold it. We had to wait till we got back to school to watch the film. We had to watch the coaches. So we didn't have that opportunity to see it before we actually met with them. So we watched the film, and everybody's quiet. Everybody just sitting on pins and needles waiting on that play in order for us to have discussion and get upset about it. So we got to that play, and the coach turned the tape off. And we just got all upset. We got upset, because we were already upset, but we got upset. So, we stormed out, and we all went home, and cause we didn't watch the film until after practice. So, being the coach that Jim McCain was my football coach at that particular time, so he knew he rolled, and he came. Great white gentleman. I mean, like I said, I looked up to him, but he came into our neighborhood, and he came. I stayed at the end of the street, so I seen that little red Toyota pulling up. Stopped at some other coach friend's house. Stopped. He went in each one of them house. He came to my house. So my dad was out there. It was a Monday. We was out there cutting grass, and so he came and talked to my daddy and told my daddy, before that happened. So my daddy told me to turn off the lawnmower. So I turned off the lawnmower. Went up down. Knew. I said, "Oh Lord, I know." He said, "Well, one thing I'm gonna tell you, son. Either you go do what Coach McCain tell you to do, or I promise you, we have chores around this house that you could do each and every day." And I know good and well. That's why I play sports. No chores. But anyway, but before he left, he told me this and told me my father this. He said, "Charles, the reason I cut that tape off when I did, because that kid was feeling bad enough for us to have to relive that play once again. And when he said that, it just hit a nerve, it just struck. So why rehash that for the young man that know he was probably one of the reasons why we lost the game, which he wasn't. We had plenty of opportunity to win, but that play in itself. So, from that day on, Coach, that was my junior year, my second game, my junior year. We didn't lose another game. We finished that season 9-1, and then we went on and went 13-0 until we lost the state championship game. So, but that play in itself, and that time with Coach coming through there and all that kind of stuff, it brought us closer together. And in our mind, we did not want to have that feeling again, and we didn't have that feeling again until my senior year in the state championship game. So that was just like a teachable moment, and that's been probably over 40 years ago, and I never forget that moment because as my coaching technique, some things you coach, but sometimes kids do things that we all do things that really don't work out in favor that we shouldn't have done. But at the same time, you got to realize that that kid feel bad enough without us being able to harp on that particular player harp on that particular situation.
So where did you end up going to college?
I wound up at first we left out. I would go to Alabama State in Montgomery, but and it's weird. I can tell you it's weird. I thought going to the state of Georgia was a big a long way from the little city of Alabama I was staying in. So I wound up going to Andrew at first and wound up playing baseball there at Andrew College. Then I transferred and went to Georgia Southwestern. And during that time, when I transferred there in 85, 86, Georgia Southwestern had a football program at that particular time. And when I got there, that program, they play football. Got opportunity to go play there, and that program folded. And then when that program folded, I just stayed there, remained there, and just went on to school and graduated over there. But I wound up going to Georgia Southwestern to play football and baseball at that particular time.
And you knew you were going to be a coach all along.
I did because I just back during those times, Georgia Southwestern. I don't know, you probably involved in it too, but a lot of when you didn't start the school as early, we have to start the school now. You were able to take your team to camps, and Georgia Southwestern was one of those universities that was hosting maybe about 7 or 8 schools would bring their high school to camp out there in Americas. And it was just, I just look forward to it. I just go out there and just go from team to team and just look how they were coaching and how they were coaching. I just knew at that particular point, that that's what I wanted to do. And so when I graduated from college, I knew that's the route that I was going to take. Now, when I knew that was going to do it, that's what I wanted to get done. And when I'm in school, I just before I graduated doing my student teaching, I lost my mom. So back then we was on like quarter system. So I graduated in December, went back to Alabama because I said, I won't go back home, Mom. I just passed. Help out my dad around the house, and I got 2 sisters and a brother. And once I got there, I went back, and it's nothing, like I told you, it's nothing in that little small town but a factory. So I went and worked at the factory. I said, well, I go work here at this factory until the summer get hired, try to get a job in Alabama. So I did that, and I had a professor, Coach Lamb. He was one of the names, Greg Harvard. He's from Americas, but he called me. He called my dad. I was at work in the factory. He called my dad and asked me about where I was at. My dad told me he's at work right now. So he said, if you would, tell him, give me a call. So my dad called me at the factory. They called me to the phone. I went there and had to be coach.
Hey, it's Bubba Wallace from 2311 Racing. You know what feels like forever? Sitting on a plane waiting for takeoff. Good thing I've got Chumba Casino. With daily boost and social casino games on tap, this is the kind of fun that makes time fly. Why not turbocharge your downtime? Play now at ChumbaCasino.com. Let's Chumba.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Coach Harvard on the phone. He said, I ain't wasted all this time to get you out of college, to have you back in Alabama working in the fight. He said, Dan Ragle had just got hired to be the head football coach at America's High at that particular time. I said, Dan, Ragle are looking for some coaches. And I told him that you wanted one, that I know you'll be a good coach. He said, I want you to come to interview. So I came to America's. I'm back from Alabama. I said, well, give me a coach. I need to finish out this week of work. So he said, okay, well, make sure you come on Monday. So I went there that Monday. and we interviewed with the principal and the superintendent and Dan, and got hired on the spot. But that was in March, and school didn't start back until, I really wasn't really to take over I actually be coaching and teaching there until, like August. But they hired me on the spot, put me on long-term sub, went there, worked, got my master, and I'm just thankful because I didn't foresee myself, going back to Georgia to coach, because I was just I'm back in Alabama. I'm gonna try to do what I got to do to get Alabama coach. So that was a great opportunity for me to go back. And sometimes we just don't realize, that when and I tell my kids all the time, you always want to treat everybody, the best you possibly can, because you don't know when a person that you don't know go help you in the long run can actually give you that opportunity. And Greg Harvey, I didn't expect for him. I didn't realize he would go put my name out like that to get a job. And once I got that job in Americas with Dan Ragle, it was a great opportunity for me. Great opportunity for me.
So what was it like working for Coach Ragle? I got to meet him. My first head coaching job was at Richmond Academy, and we were in the region with Ware County when he was there, and he was a dude, man. I love that guy.
Oh, I love him to death. He's a guy that I really respect a lot. He's a guy.
Just old hard-nosed guy.
Oh, he was. We get there. And I'm telling you now, I ain't going to tell you no word or no story now. He would work us to death. We work Saturdays. I tell him all the time, I said, when you work for Coach Ragle, when we first started, you had to have a real trusting and understanding why, because on Saturdays and Sundays, you would go see them very short process there. But he did. I learned a lot of football and a lot of his staff. And one thing I love about him is it's a lot of us that was on his staff. He gave us our first job. He gave us our first opportunity to be coaches. And he prepared us to be head football coaches. Because, a lot of time when I was with him, I went about 4 or 5 years. And then he would say, a college coach would come in. He'll introduce me to that college coach. And he'll tell me to sit down and talk about the kids with college coaches. One day I said, Coach, what's going on? I said, man, he said, Coach, I'm doing this for you because I expect for you to be a head football coach one day. So now you get an opportunity not only to talk about our kids and tell them the good and the bad, or the positive and negative about it, but also you get a chance to develop a relationship with college coaches also, which played a big part. But we worked hard. When we first got with Dan, after that second year, we wound up going to Troy. He said, Coach, we got to do something. So our defense went to Troy and got their defensive scheme, and our offense went to Valdosta. That's when Miami and all those guys that were there when it first started, we went there and got that. So we began because we went from running almost like a wishbone to just Aaron and I, and that was big for us because we didn't have no big linemen like that, but we had some skill folks, and it was big. But great guy. We wound up playing in 1996. We were fortunate enough to go to the state championship. We played for the state championship against Washington County, and that's a game that almost heartbreaking, like the one I lost as myself with my senior year. We was winning that game the whole entire time with probably about like 30 seconds left in the game. And in Washington County, Terrence Irwin was the quarterback at that particular time at Washington County, scored a touchdown. And then they was go kick the extra point, the tie to go into overtime. But so happened when they snapped the ball for Terrence to hold the ball, he bobbled it. He took off, ran, scored a touchdown. We wound up losing state championship back in '96, 22-21. That was a real heartbreaking game, but it was a good game. But at that time, we came back, and he stayed there for another year, and he left and went to Ware, and I was supposed to go with him to Ware, and it was just so far at that particular time. My wife, we had just had our second child at that particular time in '97. And my wife was from America, so she really didn't necessarily want to go all the way across. And that's the only reason I didn't go with Dan, because, I trusted him. He trusted me. I did his defense for him, and we had a great relationship in bond in that particular area.
So what happened after that?
After that, I stayed, thought about leaving, going out. I went to talk to different places, and then hired Coach Soliday. And another good one. Oh yeah, man! I've been fortunate to work with some great coaches, some great men, some great leaders. So Coach Soliday came in, and I said, "Well, Coach, I'm go look around. So I got interviews as coaches down in Albany and other little locations there. And I so came back and me and him talked. And we developed a bond. I ain't gonna tell you no story. I said, I think me and him connected. He said, well, Coach, he said, when he understood me and I understood him, and it came to a point where, Coach, I'll do the offense, and Coach, you do the defense. And it wasn't no power struggle. That's one thing I loved about him. It wasn't no power struggle. I knew he was the head coach. I wasn't gonna do anything without going through him. Even though I ran the defense, I was gonna make sure my game plan was. He understood what I was going to do defense. If it was a problem, he's a coach, we need to do this and that, this and that. Then I changed, but really didn't have that. I mean, we sort of connected so well to have to do it. But what he did, he was a hard worker too. He didn't meet us as long as Coach Ragle did, but practice schedule was structured. He was more of a laid back. When I went Ragle, because Ragle pretty much got the attitude like I, we were rah, bang, 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 bang. Because Soliday just, he knew he could scheme offense, and we used to have, and I tell you, Coach Lamb, during that time when we was that first year when Coach Soliday came, and we started off slow, team took advantage of us. We played something kind of probably beat us by 50. Played Lee County probably beat us by 50. But at the same time, the kids had to learn the system, new system. When the new coach come in, things changed a little bit. People have to do X, Y, and Z. So, but that first year, we went and made it to the playoff. And then that second, that was our 99. In 2000, 2001, we wound up winning the state championship. But before then, our practices was tougher than pretty much most of the games that we played because we went at it. Those kids we had on our, and we were fortunate enough to have kids that play offense, play defense. Back then, you had your Robert Johnson that one of he won the top pass in the state even now with passing yards. And Fabian Walker, those kids like that, we would go at it, and those kids that they love, they breathe, they football, they put me in the mind of how it was when I was in high school because I had to be on my toes because we'll watch film and I would do the defensive game plan. And those kids now, I tell my kids now, I get y'all game plan. We might see them on the floor somewhere, but those kids back then, you get those guys game plan. Those guys go study it like it was. It was like a math book. They did that too, but they go study. They go know ins and outs. And most of my defense, it was pretty much coached during the week because the checks, they knew the checks. They was out there running things all of a sudden. So it was good to be able to do that type of thing. But Coach Soliday, he led by example. He gave us. Some of the guys that that was on that staff. He gave us that opportunity.
Man, y'all had a great staff. God, y'all had some great coaches on that staff.
And Chris Wade and Rick Hurst, who also was a head football coach. We had a lot of those guys that was on that staff that wound up being head football coaches. So we went at it, and it wasn't no ego. Everybody, our goal was being able to win. I know at that particular time, at one of the years, I was the defense coordinator. Chris Wade was the offense coordinator, and I'll never forget we was playing a football game, and it was a playoff game, and Chris called a play, it was a pass, and then wound up, kid threw interception. It was a close game. And he came back and looked at me and said, Coach, I'm sorry. Coach, I said, hey, Chris, you scored 2 minutes point before. We're not here to stop him. So we're going to stop you. You have to be ready. We're going to get you the ball back. We get you the ball back. I know you're going to take him back down there and score. And we did. We got the ball back. He came back, took down and scored. We win the football game. And that's the type of relationship, what we would do. Our families were so close because on Friday nights, we would get together I might host a little get together at my place. Not only just the coaches and their wives, but coaches' wives and their children. So our kids knew each other. Our kids hung out with each other. Our kids did things with each other. So it wasn't that the wives didn't know each other and the kids didn't know each other. That's the type of stuff we had. And it was just and the football players saw how close we were, and that made them extra close because they couldn't see no dissension between us. And I tell them all the time, that's why we were so good back in 2000 and 2001, because we were ourselves, but the kids also work for us. And I'm just going to be fortunate. I tell them all the time, so Coach, we played the state championship game. We won the state championship game and didn't give up a point, 14-0. But it was those kids that were just dedicated not to let no one score, not to let nobody be successful. So it made it easy on me, and it made it easy on us as a staff, as a football staff, and the offensive guys did the same thing for the offensive coaches.
Well, and another cool thing about America is you'd have Coach Hightower and Coach Shell would be at the games. And,
Yes.
two legends from there. And the kids knew them. And that's Mr. Coach out and Shell. That's Mr. Coach out and Shell. And they'd come watch practice and, they were involved. And,
They really were. They really were. Then they'd sit back at, they hang out spot. Most of the time was that doing way back then, it'd be at Hardest. They'd sit back and like I said, they look. And that's what was so easy, Coach, even when when Coach Ragle came, that the support for those coaches that was there before us, they didn't have no hard feeling that we was coming in and coaching. Now they was real, supportive of what we were doing. And we used to line off I know you know because you was down there for a while. We used to have to line off the football field, and we had to do it on Thursday, and it was just, we just dreaded it. We dreaded it because that was a whole 6 hours of line off the field. But them guys like that would come, and they would bring us hot dog. We'll sit out there, eat hot dog. We know y'all working. We know y'all working, so they're bringing them guys like that to come and feed us and stuff like that. And it was a community support, and it goes back to when we were successful in America. So one thing about that, even the system at that time was sort of split. It was something counted in the American city school system, but regardless of if we were playing or not, the whole city of America was there supporting each other. So it wasn't like something one coming or American one coming. I mean, those people came and they supported us, and I loved it there. I loved it there. It was an opportunity, and everything that was flourish. Even the championship was great, but just the fan support and the parental support. I mean, it was.
Tyler Reddick here from 2311 Racing. Another checkered flag for the books. Time to celebrate with Chumba. Jump in at ChumbaCasino.com. Let's Chumba.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See T&Cs. 21 plus. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
Just, I can just with a kid, and they wouldn't go tell nobody. They wouldn't go tell the parent because the parent, they already, well, they ain't even going to tell mom, dad because they already on your side. And that's how it was. It's not only with me, but with any other coach, because they was our backbone. They knew that we weren't going to do anything to hurt them. If they needed something, they know we could provide for them. And if for the kids, so they knew that we were going to provide for the kids the thing they need, that we weren't going to mistreat them. And we didn't mistreat those. And it was great. It was great during that time coaching out that.
And one of the other things you had, and people might not understand what I'm about to say, but you had a female administrator that was one of the best female administrators you could have, because not only did she support y'all 100%, but she loved her athletics.
She did. She the Juanita Wilson. She was very special. I mean, she was very special. She was a female. She was a female principal that loved her sport, and she would go tell the kids that they weren't doing right on the football field. Even her son was a great athlete for us. It was. I mean, anything we needed, anything we wanted, she provided for us. And we had to do right. We had to do what we were supposed to do. But just doing that and being that and not having to fight some of the struggles sometimes people have to fight now, that was a struggle we didn't have to fight as far as with our administrator, with her not being behind us, which played big part of Dan Ragle career, as well as Coach Soliday. I hear those guys all the time. But Coach, we go see, can we talk to her? Come talk to her. She tell us she do it. And it was just big, from and if we won or lost, she was still there. I mean, it wasn't only because we were winning, she was there, but if it was a situation we had a little, and when we were with Ragle, we weren't really successful our first year or two, but she didn't throw us to the wolves. She supported us. She said, we brought you in, brought y'all guys in to be successful, and we understand that it takes time to build a program. And she gave us that time, and the program was built, and from that point on, and it went from 1991 until I left back in 2003, and then even after I left, even though you guys were successful. So program has been successful there, and it'll continue to get successful.
Well, where did you leave? Where did you go to after you left in 2003?
Okay, well, in 2001, 2002, I left America's High, and I became the head football coach at Sumter County High School. At that particular time, Sumter it was like over a year and a half since they had won a football game, and I hated to leave America's because I really felt that the third year, defensively, I had more talent coming back than I had even the first 2 years that we won the state championship. So I just knew, I said, Darren, you got a choice. You either go become a head coach for the first time, or sit back here again and have a great opportunity to win a state championship again. But I knew eventually that I wanted to be a head football coach, so I went to Sumter. And like I said, those kids wanted to win, but it was just that at that particular time, things just wasn't working to their favor. So when I went there, and it was just like instant credibility because I had come from a system that had won 2 state championships. So we went there. And when I got there, I was also fortunate because the principal there, she said, well, no, whatever you need, we need to get it. I said, in order to be competitive. And we changed our weight room, got our weight room going, got our guys in the weight room. And those kids, we went from not winning a football game in a year and a half to winning 4 games. And that was a big plus for those kids at that particular time because they hadn't won that. So they started seeing some bright spot, seeing the hard work pays off. And then the following year, we wound up having a winning record. We wound up going 5-5. And we was actually really had started to develop the program. We got our kids in the program. And lo and behold, they combined the 2 schools. So that at that particular time, but something was great. The kids worked hard for us. We didn't have as many kids as America's high school had, but those kids we had to play both ways, but they were dedicated, they were determined, and we had begun to turn the corner, and then it came to a point that the districts decided that the best thing for us to do was to combine the 2 schools. So then that left me out again at that particular point. So after that, I got contacted by the school district in Albany. Monroe High School reached out to me about they had a vacancy, they had an opening in that position. So the principal called me, and then the principal called me. So I went on the interview, and Monroe they were hit and miss. I mean, they wasn't as bad as something were, but they wasn't consistent in making the playoff. So I looked at a little film, and I talked to my defense coordinator at the time. I said, "Oh Lord," I said, are we sure we want to go here? Are we sure we want to go here? So we said, he said, all right. So me and my wife rolled down to Albany. We rolled down. She said, we rolled around the school. And she said, well, if God says if it's for you, we'll pray about it. If it's for you, then be successful. And again, a lot of folks hadn't had this, but I have had some great female administrators. The principal I had at Monroe was excellent also. She wasn't as athletic as Savage, but she will provide you with what you need to be successful. So the first year at Monroe, we went there, and you know how it is when you first go to a program. You have your ins and outs. You have those kids that go do what you ask them to do. You have some kids you go out there to get rid of, and we did start with. So our first year over there, it was I think we was 2-8 that first year, but when the season was over, when the football season was over, those kids that was returning, that were juniors and sophomores and freshmen, you can see that they're in their eyesight. Say, okay, well, we got some special. These guys that came from the schools that have been winning, and we want to go ahead and do what's supposed to. So that summer we was at it. We had got rid of some of the ones that we know we had to get rid of to bring the program together. And that next year we went to the playoff, made the playoff. Nobody expected us to go to the playoff. Monroe had been to this playoff at that particular time in a while. And then, we started seeing gradual things start happening, start living success, a little bit more success. Got a couple of kids in college that second year, so the kids got a chance to see hard work pays off. We got some kids going off to college now. And that third year, Coach Lamb, it was just like things just exploded. I mean, we won in 2, won the region, first time won the region, we beat Cairo. That particular year, and then from that point, and you always have those teams that your athlete might be a little afraid of, and you just can't never get over the hump. But when we beat Cairo that year, we beat Cairo and won the region. It was like, okay, well, hey, sky's the limit for us. And then we wound up going to the second round of playoff. And one thing we talked about in that aspect of the game, our goal was to be able to, not being a homecoming from everyone. And I think before then, they were more homecoming for everyone, and our goal was to develop a program. And I think those kids wanted the direction, they wanted to win. And then, we were consistent. I was thinking the other day, Coach, in our 18 years of coaching over there, I think 12 out of those 18 years we was in the playoff. And the two of the years that we didn't make the playoff, those are 2 years that they had added Bainbridge and Thomas Central, our regions, which really made it difficult for a lot of us to make the playoff that year. But other than that, they really played, and the kid was wonderful. They played hard. They were successful, and they was to a point whereas they listened, they was dedicated, and I tell them all the time. We talk all the time. All kids want to win. They want to win. They want to be successful, but it all depends on how you sell your product. And we practice hard, we play hard, but once kids realize that that we care for them and they care for us, and then we wound up being successful and winning. And we had some good kids come through that program. We really did. We had some good ones come through.
So you spent 18 years at Monroe and created a force to be reckoned with. I mean, the Golden Tornadoes were not by any stretch of imagination a pushover anymore. They were not a homecoming game anymore. I remember when y'all rolled over to Americus, we were over there, y'all were it. I mean, it was like we have to beat. I mean, if we want any chance to make the playoffs, they're a playoff team in our region, and that game ended up being 6-0.
Yeah,
because it was just a struggle, and y'all had mollywopped us the year before.
Yeah, right.
And it was like, man alive, because y'all had just so well coached and so disciplined and such good athletes. And it was just one of them games. I mean, it could have gone either way. I mean, me and you loved it because it was a defensive game.
Right.
Chris Wade and the York offensive coordinator hated everybody, but
you said something, and that's where I'll go. We was, when we see Cairo come in and all those guys come in that had been successful, Thomas County Central, even Bambers. We played Bambers coach until they had to fake a field goal, fake the field goal in order to beat us there. But our goal was to be, and I tell them all the time, I tell my coach all the time, when you go to these different coaching clinics and then you start talking to coaches like yourself and those other coaches that has been at program that have been very successful, have been winning state championship and going deep into the playoff, when they're able to come to you and say, Coach, you all have, like you say, you have really developed a program there that plays a big part of what we're doing. I've been fortunate enough. And one thing I was fortunate enough is that most of my coaches stayed with me my entire time. I mean, I had my defense coordinator, my offense coordinator still with me as today, but my defense coordinator was with me for I would say almost 20 years. And, and I didn't have, it was just being with someone for that length of time, for that long, it was just like we was attached at the hip. And then my assistant coaches, they were there with us. So now we can do a lot of different things that, okay, well, this year we can do this a little bit different. So just being able to have a staff that you trust, that trust you, that ain't go backstab you. I mean, I was fortunate enough to have those guys that did that. And I tell them all the time, it was just me just sitting back and directing, but you all were doing the work. And they did a great job of coaching those kids up for us. Really
it provides that consistency for those kids too. Like you said, you had when you were coming up,
right.
You don't have to worry about, learning new people there's a consistency in the message.
In the message. That's right.
So after 18 years at Monroe, what'd you decide to do?
I was retiring. I said, I'm going to retire.
You have run the race. Well done, my good and faithful servant.
That's it. And you go back in Hawaii, where I talked a lot of time. And my dad used to tell me all the time, he said, well, you'll realize when it's time for you to either leave a program or to retire. And he said, sometimes you get to a point, and I said, sometimes you get to a point where you took a program as far as you can take it. It needed to be somebody else probably come back and maybe jumpstart it, either make it better or the other way. But sometimes you get to a point, and I guess got the point where I said, okay, but I think on a flat line, and I took the program as far as I could take it. So they need some more added juice to sort of, jumpstart it and get it going. But I retired. I told my wife I would retire. And my misfortune of that is that I started in education about 6 years before she did. So
step into the world of power, loyalty, and luck.
I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse.
With family, cannolis, and spins mean everything.
Now, you want to get mixed up in the family business.
Introducing The Godfather at ChumbaCasino.com. Test your luck in the shadowy world of The Godfather slot.
Someday, I will call upon you to do a service for me.
Play The Godfather now at ChumbaCasino.com.
Welcome to the family.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
I knew right then that she goes talk about I said, no, you can't retire when I retire because you started when I started. So she did education also. So I retired, and that retirement lasted for 30 days because every time I get up in the morning, she had a honey-do list. I said, I just better go ahead and go to work, go back to work. I'm working here for free because I can't rest anyway. So once again, a friend of mine, Soliday, called me. Coach Soliday reached out to me and said, Coach, I hear you done retire. I said, yes, Coach, I'm finna retire. He said, come on over here to Tip area with us. Come on, you can run the defense. I run the offense. It's laid back. You ain't got as much discipline problem you had as to other places, stuff like that. Come on, coach with me. I said, developing a relationship like me and him had. I took him at his word. So I said, well, Coach, I just want to come work because my wife working me to death around the house. So we went there. And I loved it there. I promise you, Coach, I loved it there. The kid was wonderful. They accepted me. They accepted my family. The parents accepted me, accepted the family administration. And we had a great, had a good year, had a good run, wound up going to the semi-round of the playoff in the semi-final round in the playoff that year. And good job. Coach did offense, defense. Now, what I learned there that I was able to take it to my job that I'm at now is that we only had 3 football coaches. So you had to coach on both sides of the football and coach on the other side 2 positions. So it made me realize now you ain't got 10 coaches like you used to have on your staff. You just the head coach and an offensive line coach, and we did the best out. We structured practice to a point that we did, and like I said, I loved it. I probably could still be there, but the superintendent at the school that I am now at Randolph-Clay, she contacted me a week after I had accepted the job at Tip area. And she said, well, Randolph-Clay was open. Where I'm at now, Randolph-Clay is open. So I want to know if you would be interested in coming to coach over here. And I told a wonderful lady, great superintendent, Dr. Mad, I said, well, I try to be a man of my word the best I possibly can. I said, I just gave my word to Tip area that I would go come over there and coach with them. I said, now, but if that job still remain open next year and you want to talk to me next year, I'll sit down and I'll talk with you. But I just couldn't, like I tell them all the time, you try to be a person and word the best you possibly can. And I was, and I'm glad I had the opportunity to stay there because I learned a lot of football, learned a lot of situations back with Coach Soliday. I'm a 4-3 type guy, and Coach run a lot of that 4-4, and I learned a lot. So now he let me run my 4-3, but I also did a little bit with this front. But it learned me a lot. Defense gave me a little bit more firepower I can use on that end. Doing it that way there. So it is, yeah. But after I finished that year, and I went to talk with the superintendent, and we talked and we discussed some things, and I felt good about that opportunity. I think I got sort of rolled back a little bit. I had my oldest son, which I would really go beyond, which I would really get out of coaching altogether because I lost him on January 30th of 22. And I was sort of out of it for a while and wasn't sure what my next direction was going to be because he was also one of my coaches. He was with me, coaching with me for a while. He was very athletic. I always loved coaching. He probably loved coaching more so than I did. But I had to sort of sit back and sort of reflect to see exactly if I want to continue to coach. But I knew I needed something to keep me busy. So wound up accepting the job at Randolph. And those kids beyond with you too. That's another program like you stated earlier. I ain't been fortunate enough to go to a lot of programs that was already winning before we got there, but we've been fortunate enough to hopefully that when we left a program that program was better than it was, before we got there. And going to Randolph, get with the kids, and they're a situation where a lot of programs are. They was having a different coach pretty much every year. In and out, those kids. I think that senior class that was seniors when I got there, like they had like three head coaches during that time, including myself. And we got there, and once again, superintendent allowed me to get what we needed, do what we needed to do in order to sort of turn the program around, and we did. It was a struggle because once again, I was stating earlier, that's what I sort of learned from over there with Coach Soliday, the number fighter, where we had, I remember we might have had about 70 or 80 kids. At Tip area, it was probably about 30 kids or 35 kids. And when we came to Randolph-Clay, we still around about 30, 35 kids. So it gave us an opportunity to be able to work those kids and understand what we can do and push. And I think that first year, and we wound up, I think, being 3-7, but that first year, I think, to begin with, I think we overcoached our kids. And the reason I said we overcoached our kids, we knew what we were saying as coaches, but we didn't quite break it down enough for the kids to understand what we were saying.
Right.
Because we were thinking that as juniors and seniors, they should have known different gaps and different techniques and different X, Y, and Z. But to find out, they didn't know. So once we really, really, really understood and stepped back for a moment and put ourselves in the kids' situation, then we came back, and I think we started getting better as we went on. And then after that first year, that second year, last year, we wound up, going to the playoff, making a playoff, something they hadn't done in a long time. And I see the program is on an uphill swing because, the kids are understanding now what to do, understanding the game of football. I think they play, and one of the kids told me one day, he said, Coach, when I first got to Coach, we played the game, but we didn't quite understand the game. We didn't understand the concept of the game, the ins and the outs. And then once now they understand the ins and the outs of the game, I think now at this particular time now, I think that the game has sped up for them to a point that they continue to get better. This year we was in games. We played Early County. We went deep into the playoff. We played Early County, and we up Early County by 12 going into the fourth quarter. And we just ran out of gas. We just couldn't get one first down. We get one first down, we win that football game. Played Pelham, who made the playoff. We was up on them. We back and forth from them to the fourth quarter. They made one play, and we did. So it just now, and that was at Sumter, and that was at Monroe. We got the kid. We just got to get those kids there, expecting them to win and understanding how to win, because they done lost so much. They just feel like, if something negative happens, then they look at the point, so here we go again, something that's going to happen. Instead of saying, okay, no, that bad play happened like it was when Chris Wade was in America. That play happened, but we go out there and we go stop it, and then we go pick back up and go. So right now, just not getting those kids to understand the concept of winning, knowing how to win, and not just letting one bad play roll into another bad play. And I think that's what we're getting at right now, that for them to be able to have that particular opportunity. I love it there. I love it there because now I'm 49%, so I don't have to be to work till 11:30. So I go there at 11:30. I'm the assistant principal over there, so it's in the head football coach. So we go at 11:30, and like I said, the kids. I mean, right now we got through season over with. Now they trying to they eager to get into the weight room. And they ain't never been like that before. They say never been like that before, but they understand what it is in order to be successful, what it takes to be successful. Now they want to put in that work and put in that effort. So I told them I'm gonna go as long as I continue to feel like I feel good and feel successful, and then we're going to continue to work that. But my years of coaching, it has been wonderful. I don't think I don't think another profession that can feel the success I have. But I told my baby son, he coached with me. He was on my staff this year, but I did tell him this. I said, I don't know if I'll start all over again to get back into it, because back in the day, it was just a joy coaching. I be honest with you, my first 2 years in Americas, I was actually a middle school coach. And that's what I tell my coaches now. I say, I didn't mind. By then, you had to start from the bottom up and work your way up. So if some of us were fortunate enough to get up there, then it was you understood that you had paid your dues, and you understood everything from coaching middle school football, from coaching whatever they level, JV football or whatever it took place to get there. And I think, I've just been fortunate enough to work with administrators and work with head football coaches that have put me in a position for me to be doing this coaching for over 34 years. So I'm just happy. I think somebody asked me the other day, what's the joy you get? And you start thinking about the joy of what you have gotten out of coaching. And you look at the state championships and all that stuff. But I said the joy I get out of it is that when you mold young men and to be young boys and young teenagers to be young men with a family, and they supporting their family. And they'll come back and tell you, Coach, I appreciate it, what you done, and this is what happened. That's the joy of coaching to me. It's when someone that you didn't know they're going to be walking the straight and narrow, walk the straight and narrow, and doing successful and make a good living for them and their family. That's that joy, that put a smile on your face each and every time you hear it. And so, okay, well, it was hard doing the job I did, but it was wonderful to understand that people appreciate what you've done to a point that they're willing to come back and tell you that the reason why they're successful is because of you and some of the other coaches and people that have been around them.
Well, Coach, I'm so glad that you've been doing it for 34 years. And I can say personally, we met back up a couple of years ago at Lee County when you brought Randolph-Clay over to, the contact camp. And you could see the improvement this year that y'all made and knew that y'all were taking that step, and just how disciplined and well coached they are. And some schools like the one I'm at and the one you're at, you get people the reputation of they're a little rough around the edges. Well, we got rained out this year, and me and you're looking at each other like, what are we doing? Let's go home. And anyway, they put us in a locker room, and they put two schools that have a reputation for, the basketball schools. These jokers will fight. Man, them kids couldn't have been more well-behaved and hanging out. And, and that's a testament to the job you've done over there and just the effect that you've had on young men and molding young men. And I'm so glad that you continue to answer that call, and we sure do need it, and these kids need it. And I sure do appreciate you coming on and sharing your story with us.
I just appreciate the opportunity to be able to do it because, just stuff like this give us opportunity to get that information out. So I'm glad to talk, give that information, talk about themselves, but also talk about the program that maybe can direct some other young man that maybe want to follow in our footsteps to do the type of job that some of us have done.
Well, thanks, Coach. I sure do appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, it's Bubba Wallace from 2311 Racing. You know what feels like forever? Sitting on a plane waiting for takeoff. Good thing I've got Chumba Casino. With daily boost and social casino games on tap, this is the kind of fun that makes time fly. Why not turbocharge your downtime? Play now at ChumbaCasino.com. Let's Chumba.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
When you manage procurement for multiple facilities, every order matters. But when it's for a hospital system, they matter even more. Grainger gets it and knows there's no time for managing multiple suppliers and no room for shipping delays. That's why Grainger offers millions of products in fast, dependable delivery, so you can keep your facility stocked, safe, and running smoothly. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.